So this movie is about a woman named Violet. Violet is a DV survivor. She's going on the first day since the death of her ex-husband. She's super nervous about it. It's the first night away from her son since she became a widow, and it's with a dude named Henry whom she's been talking to for about 3 months. They're meeting at this swanky rooftop restaurant called Palette. Seems nice. They have lobster. Have you ever gotten like a random airdrop from someone? Well, that's what starts happening to Violet. While she's in the restaurant, she starts getting these meme drops from some rando, basically being like, hey, I'm about to ruin your night. Now, if you've seen the trailer, you probably thought, oh, the entire story is in the trailer. Not exactly. You see the bare bones of it in the trailer. We know that she's getting these random drops. This person is asking her to do random things and, ask her to basically unalive her date. We get all of that from the trailer, but what the trailer doesn't give us is the why. It doesn't give us context. It doesn't give us a who. I love horror. I love thriller. I love suspense. And this is definitely more on the thriller suspense side. But it's all a guessing game when you're watching these movies, trying to figure out who's who and who done it, and seeing if you can pick up all the little clues. And I think the lesson that I learned after watching this was trust your instincts. So I'm talking about the movie Drop. I just saw it, directed by Christopher Landon. Christopher Landon has had his toes and fingers dipped in the Paranormal Activity franchise. He also directed Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You. I hadn't seen the sequel, but I loved the first one. I believe he was a screenwriter for the movie that just came out in February, Hard Eyes. Talented dude, if I do say so myself, because this was clever. I imagine it's a challenge for a lot of screenwriters incorporating modern technology into film, because the old stuff, it works, but it's so out of touch. The new generation doesn't know what to do with a landline. They don't know what to do with a rotary phone. They don't know what to do with the sounds of dial-up and all these other things. Everything is on vibrate. Nobody downloads ringtones anymore. As technology changes and it gets more simple, it's like, okay, well, how do you add this into horror and suspense? And so taking something like an anonymous drop and making it suspenseful, it's not just, the sound of the phone buzzing and then the actual drops themselves, but it's also how it's the messages were incorporated into the overall setting, transforming that space. It's a very small space that we're filming in, okay? So we only really have 2 locations. We do have a flashback scene, but that's neither here nor there. But we have her house, which we're only in for a little bit, and then we have the restaurant, which is the majority of the film. It's such a conundrum, a very visual paradox, because it's a very small, tight, claustrophobic space, and yet you have this expansive view of the whole city. So there's so much out there, and yet she's very much closed in, and she can't leave, she can't escape. But yet the world is right there at her fingertips, right next to her. She's got a seat with a view. The editing and, framing choices were very interesting. Just her projection of her own isolation, how she projects that onto other people, very interesting. And her attempts to kind of figure out who is messing with her. Honestly, I felt like I was in the middle of like a murder mystery theater. It felt very theatrical in the way things kind of played out. It felt like I was in on the game, the guessing game, if you will. There was something very Hitchcock about this that was just perfect. That was just good. That was just good, solid fun. I mean, you know what? You go, Blumhouse. Blumhouse has had the runs for like the last year and a half, 2 years. This movie was like a shot of Pepto-Bismol with a ginger ale chaser. Like finally they put out a good one. It's been a while. They had one that came out very recently and it was terrible. I don't even remember what it was, but it was bad. The Woman in the Yard. That was not good. This was redemption. Brandon Sklenar, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He's growing on me. Now, he's just like ruggedly handsome. Like the kind of handsome you just sit on the front porch with. You don't say nothing. You just watch the rain fall. But as an actor, he's like really growing on me. He gets in these roles where he doesn't do a whole lot, where he's kind of quiet, and they're mostly just using his face. Not that he has a pretty face, but he knows how to give a lot while doing absolutely nothing, if that makes sense. And I know it sounds like I'm insulting him. I'm not. But I feel like we just got more from him than in the last couple of roles that I've seen him in. Megan Fahey, who is our lead, she was wonderful. She had a movie that came out released recently. It was filmed in 2020, but it finally got a wide release this year. The Unbreakable Boy, wonderful. I loved her in this. She's made for horror. She's made for scary. She did good. I mean, it's not perfect by any means, but I mean, pretty well done for a movie so simple, with such a simple concept. I mean, you take just this simple concept of a drop. Like, it's a what if. What if you got a drop that changed your whole evening? And then you take that simple concept and you have to expand it for what? An hour and 40-ish minutes. And then on top of that, in order to make that work, you need a good cast. And the casting here was excellent. Great. And then you got to figure out the perfect setting in order for that to work, because you can't have it too complicated. You can't do too much. You got to keep it simple. So I applaud him for taking a very simple concept and stretching it and making it work. It was good. Yeah, I liked that.